Well, I just got done spraying down my 2013 Honda Fit with fluid film. Sprayed down the engine compartment, every nut and bolt I could see. I stayed away from the belts because it'll make them squeal. I did spray down the ends of the hoses here because those clamps were starting to rust. But basically every nut and bolt, every piece of metal that was exposed went down through the holes. Really surprised underneath this car is a lot of plastic. Even here there's a lot of plastic. It's hard to get to the metal that's behind it unless you start taking things apart, but I shot behind it the best that I could, and up in the corners there. The hood got a bunch of holes, so I sprayed into all those holes, trying to keep that all with fluid film on it. And along the wheel wells, went up underneath there as best as I could. The door of the Honda Fit was pretty straightforward. I got in here and did the hinges and did this thing here and the hinge on the bottom and sprayed it in there. There's a lot of plastic hiding and stuff in there, so I had to get it on alongside of the plastic. And then underneath there was a little bit of surface rust at the bottom down here, and most doors have these drain holes here, so I got my can of spray of fluid film spray with a hose on it and got up in there as best as I could in both directions and sprayed the surface. Now, if you've got speakers in your doors, which a lot of cars do, you got to be careful not to get the backs of the speakers, but this one is recessed in there quite a ways, so I just got in there up into that drain hole and sprayed that, and then sprayed the lock, make sure I had that. And I was really surprised over here behind the door, we got rust on that bolt there, and there's rust here. This stuff here was starting to rust from this side, and I noticed it on the other side of the car too. But so you really have to just keep your eyes open for where the rust is developing. Good. I was concerned about the rocker panels and didn't know if I was going to have to drill holes, and unfortunately they've got plugs all along the bottom. There's actually 2 rows of plugs, and so I popped those out, and then I cleaned the plugs and cleaned the holes as best as I could. And I was really surprised that toward the back of the rocker panel there was a lot of sand built up in there. And this has a one more plug right back in there. I think you might be able to see it in there. Had to pop that out and use the air and blow the sand out of there. And then I took the plugs that go into them and soaked them in 303, made sure they were nice and clean, and then put them back in after I sprayed it down with fluid film inside there. The back wheels, I was really surprised. There's a lot of dirt right in here, and there's dirt right along the inside of this ledge here. On the inside, I had to take a brush and get up in there and clean that out, and then I actually got a paintbrush and put fluid film really heavy in there. And then I crawled underneath and then sprayed it. And with this car, I went up onto the blocks first with the front, did the front, and then I backed up onto the blocks in the back. And then I was really surprised toward the back, we had a lot of rust. The metal brace that goes inside here that this is mounted to, that was really, really rusted. Let's slide underneath here. Tried to stay away from the exhaust because that would smoke really bad. Sprayed the back of the wheels and way up in there. I did get a little bit on the exhaust. It's going to burn off. But you can see in here, look how rusted that was. And this was really rusted. And so I really had to get up in there and spray that down heavy. And a lot of the metal back in here, underneath here, a lot of rust in here. Up in there, a lot of the seams were rusted. Now let's go on to the, this is the driver's side here. There's our back bumper and our left rear tire sprayed up underneath there. And I was really surprised, and this is helpful whenever you have holes like this, get your finger in there and feel around, because there was a lot of sand in there, and that would prevent the fluid film from getting into the metal. So I had to get a compressor in there and blow that sand out the best I could and just dose it real heavy with fluid film. And this car really went heavy with it because it's the first application, and I used about half a gallon, about 2 quarts. And so got the sand out, sprayed that down, and sprayed this down real heavy back here. And that thing there was really, really rusty. And along here, where the metal is, right along where that seam is, there's lots and lots and lots of rust. So I sprayed that down the best that I could. Got it as cool as I could. And we're gonna see next summer, see how well she does. And I think it'll do okay. But if it gets washed off too fast, then the wheel wells, I will take those wax rings, melt them down and dilute them with oil and paint it on the inside of the wheel well. So there it is. And one other thing here, the back door, I did not see any access places, holes for spraying in. So what I did is I took off this latch access right here, popped this thing out, and then got in there with the hose and sprayed it down left and right. That should get in there. That should take care of it. This is the stuff that I'm using: automotive undercoating, wool wax, stops rust. It is lanolin, solvent-free, non-toxic, non-hazardous, safe and simple to apply. I got it off of eBay, 2 gallons of that, 2 sprayers, empty sprayers, and I went through, filled this once, sprayed it, and then went down that much more. So we almost used half a gallon. And it also came with this nice pour lid. And let's take a look in there. You can see what it looks like. It looks like very rich honey. And we used almost half a gallon, but I put it on pretty thick for the first coating. The kit also came with one of these, a spray thing. These cost about $10 each if you buy them off of eBay. And the kit had a nozzle for this. That's this flex nozzle here with a 360-degree tip on it, and plugs in case you have to drill holes. Fortunately, my rocker panel already had holes. And here's an extra cap for this thing once you get it full. So there it is, nice kit. And this is the 303 that I treated the plugs with, so that they're not going to be rotting out or hardening on me. But good stuff.